Hiroshima City, with its beautiful flowing rivers, has had a long history spanning many, many years. On August 6, 1945, at 8:15 in the morning, the first atomic bomb in human history exploded about 600 meters above Hiroshima City. The city was destroyed in an instant, and many lives were lost. The Motomochi office of the Waterworks Department, which was located approximately 500 meters away from the hypocenter, was reduced to rubble. The water supply, having never experienced a disruption before, was confronted by its first crisis. I am going to tell you a story about the staff of the Waterworks Department and their struggle to deliver water on the very day of the bombing. Deep in the Chugoku Mountains, where high mountains stretch across the land, wade through the trees and you'll find a spring that gushes forth from a crevice. The surface of the bright blue water was beautiful, and the spring seemed as if it would remain there for thousands of years. I am a water drop who was born there. Once upon a time, I left the spring with my friends and set forth on a journey. We went through a clean river called the Ota River to a downstream town, Hiroshima. I am going to tell you about an incident I experienced in Hiroshima. This is a story of people who sought me for their lives. The Ota River runs slowly through many mountains and fields. We were having a comfortable trip. "Soon you'll see Hiroshima City," somebody shouted out. Then I heard voices among us. "The city may be dried up in this heat. They may not have enough water. Let's hurry." It was particularly hot on that day. In Hiroshima, the temperature rapidly rose after daybreak. Even though it was early in the morning, it was scorching. "It's so hot today, and the water tastes good." A father gulps down a glass of water and goes off to work. A child puts his mouth to the faucet to drink water. On August 6, 1945, on the morning of that day, there were scenes just like any other day. Kuro Horino, who works for the Waterworks Department of Hiroshima City, went to Hiroshima Station early that morning. As he was off duty, he went to the station by bicycle from the Ushita Purification Plant housing complex to send school supplies to his child, who was evacuating. As Mr. Horino returned from sending school supplies, he heard the loud chirring of cicadas in chorus from above. "It's gonna be another hot day today," As he stopped the bicycle and wiped away his sweat, he happened to look up at the sky. A cloudless, clear blue sunny sky stretched across the horizon, and then he heard the thunderous sound of B-29 bombers far away. On that day, there were warning signs at night and just after 7 o'clock that morning. Since this morning's warning had just been cancelled, Mr. Horino had been relieved. Here they are again. When he looked up at the sky, he clearly saw the body of a B-29 bomber. Oh no, I must get back quickly. He struggled to pedal his bicycle and came to Nigitsu Shrine. And then,
on August 6th, at 8:15 in the morning, a new type of bomb was dropped over the central part of Hiroshima. The city was devastated in an instant.
a bluish-white light flashed as it rattled the ground. Then suddenly, scorching hot air covered the surface of the river.
What was that? A crack of thunder? That's impossible.
We water drops did not know what had happened. Not knowing how to react, we swept across the surface of the river in a flurry. When we saw the city in the downstream, it was dark, even though it was still morning. Eventually, the town became bright red. The bodies of our friends who went ahead of us turned red.
What on earth has happened?
In alarm and anxiety, everyone seemed on the verge of tears.
Quick, let's get to the purification plant. We must see for ourselves.
Around the same time, Mr. Horino, who was in front of Nigitsu Shrine, was enveloped by a strange new light, and then his body was blown away. How much time had passed he did not know. As he stood up, feeling groggy, he saw something unbelievable. A person who was covered all over with blood said as he was dying,
Water. Give me water. Just a sip, please.
It was hell on earth. Mr. Horino himself suffered severe burns on the left side of his body. However, when he looked toward the Ushta area where the purification plant was, he saw thick black smoke. What? Is that heavy oil burning at the purification plant? Enduring his pain, Mr. Horino rushed to the Ushta purification plant. The image of the person who died saying, "Give me water," was engraved in his mind's eye. I wonder what happened to the water system. I must get to the purification plant, no matter what. In spite of being off duty, Mr. Horino set off for the purification plant as he almost coughed up blood. At the same time when Mr. Horino rushed to get to Ushta despite his severe burns, I parted with my friends at the water intake of Ota River and made it to the purification plant just before Mr. Horino did. I was surprised when I saw Mr. Horino at the purification plant. He was severely burned and his clothing was tattered. It was a miracle that he was still standing. Nevertheless, he went straight to the pumping station. What happened? Where was the bomb dropped? While the purification plant, 2.5 kilometers away from the epicenter, was not burned, it was severely damaged. The wooden building was blown away and the roof tiles were blown to pieces. There was a big hole in the roof of the pumping station that distributed water, and pieces of broken glass were scattered all over the floor. The water! What happened to the pumps? Mr. Horino was worried about the pumps that distributed water to the city. As he had feared, the entire electrical system was damaged by the bomb. Due to the power outage, all distribution of water was cut off. There wasn't even a single working pump to distribute water.
Heavens! This has got to be fixed now!
Mr. Horino was getting impatient. It was a grave matter to me, too. If the pumps did not work, not one drop of water would come out of the faucet. We water drops will not be able to flow off to Hiroshima City. The pump room was deserted, and it was so silent you could hear a pin drop. Mr. Horino began repairs all by himself. One by one, he removed shards of glass which had cut into the machines.
Please work!
Mr. Horino's fingertips were cut up and covered with blood. I also prayed for it to work. At last, the machine was ready to operate. He checked the pump, and then...
Oh no! There's no water!
Mr. Horino's voice, which was something between anxiety and fright, echoed throughout the empty chamber.
This isn't going to do.
He needed to fetch water for the pump in order to operate it. Mr. Horino desperately tried turning many of the valves. Maybe his burns hurt. Every now and then, I could hear him groan in pain. Mr. Horino then turned the diesel pump on.
Please, come on.
Then, from the bottom of the pump, I saw my water drop friends.
Yes! Great! Yes!
The next moment, water came gushing up. At last, one of the pumps was brought back to life.
Yo! It worked!
He managed to distribute water from the distribution reservoir that was running empty.
I can distribute water for 1 hour!
It was only momentary relief. What would happen after that? I was worried.
This will only last for 1 hour at most. After that, I will need to generate compressed air to operate the pump. What should I do?
And then young workers came and said, "We'll help you, Mr. Horino."
Oh, you're alive. You survived. I'm so relieved.
For the meantime, everyone congratulated each other's safety with a hug. At the time, the purification plant operated 24 hours a day on a 3-shift basis, with one shift including 5 workers. Some of the workers were injured, and there were only a couple of people in the plant. Just when Mr. Horino, who had rushed to the plant in spite of being off duty, was going to lead a few workers in repairing the next machine, one of the workers who went to the distribution reservoir came back with some startling news.
There's trouble.
What's the matter?
There's only 1 meter deep of water remaining in the distribution reservoir.
What? It'll dry up by tomorrow morning then. We can't just sit around.
Forgetting his exhaustion, Mr. Horino began fixing the machines again with the young workers.
Are they going to be all right?
Can we reach the people who are seeking water? It'll be all right. In no time, we'll be gushing out from the faucets in the city that burned down. My water drop friends and I waited, praying patiently, hoping that the moment would come. Mr. Horino told the workers,
"As long as there's water in the filter basin, we'll be all right. But in order to distribute water tomorrow, we must intake water from another location."
Let's turn on the power generator.
Yes. Let's use the compressed air to operate the second and third diesel pumps.
Hurry, hurry. Everyone's waiting. Mr. Horino and the others checked the generator at once. Generator, all clear.
We're going to be all right. I think we're going to make it.
It was now a race against time. The water in the filter basin would dry up completely if they did not hurry. In that case, we water drops would be useless.
Go out and climb the iron towers outside and replace the damaged insulators.
The power line that distributes power to the second transformer station was destroyed. Everyone climbed the 4 iron towers one after the other and continued to work with all their might. No one complained that they were tired. Now we have power.
Okay. Now, turn on the electric intake pump and air compressor.
With the compressed air, the second diesel pump started. Mr. Horino, we did it! We did it!
Not yet. Let's get that third pump going.
And at last, they succeeded in operating the 3 pumps. Yes, yes, yes! Now it's our turn. The human spirit is amazing. Even when they are injured or experiencing times of difficulty, they can accomplish great things. We all agreed. At last, we set out for Hiroshima City through the pumps that Mr. Horino and the others had fixed. From the Ushta purification plant, we flowed through water pipes to the faucets of each house. Later, we heard that Hiroshima was destroyed beyond our imaginations. Since the office of the Waterworks Department in Motomachi was 500 meters away from the epicenter, it was completely gone, except for the steel beams that were totally bent. 83 of the total 186 Waterworks Department workers fell victim to the bombing. All workers of the Waterworks Department in Motomachi died, so no one knew what happened at that moment. It has been over 100 years since the water distribution system was built in Hiroshima, and it has shaped the course of history. That history includes an undisrupted water supply in which there has not been a single day when the entire city experienced a disruption of water. However, on August 6, 1945, the city was scorched by a single atomic bomb, and people were left straying around, seeking for even a single drop of water. It was on this day that the city would have faced a water crisis if it had not been for Akuro Horino, who rushed to the water purification plant despite being off duty and severely burned. If it had not been for the efforts of those workers who kept working without giving up, they would not have been able to give even a dying baby a single drop of water in this city scorched in heat and flames. 60 years have passed since that day. The river in Hiroshima shines beautifully as if nothing happened. If you turn the faucet, out gushes lots of water. My friends and I, however, remember that time. We remember the relay of lives by people who ran about, forgetting their pain for people who were seeking water. Now, my friends and I travel through places where there are rivers and water. As long as Hiroshima is a peaceful city with clean water, we will someday return to this river. This is our promise to you and your children.